we're on.
Okay.
All right.
Jeremy, welcome to Amplified. It's basically a conversation with people about growth and creativity. And when I started looking at your story, it was a really fascinating one because you've come from a background of reporting, but you're now obviously in the police force. So, and not only that, you've actually gone to a place of leadership. So I really want to talk about today is going from creative to a position of leadership.
Oh, wow. That's a pretty heavy topic, right?
So can you give us a little bit of backstory of like your career, how you started?
Well, sure. Like for me, where it started was, well, as everyone is, it's in high school. You're trying to figure out what you want to do. And I got in trouble and sent to the vice principal's office. And he said, what do you want to do with your life? And I said, I like taking pictures, because I did. And from there, the vice principal signed me up for photojournalism at Loyalist. Went into that program 2 years. It was intense. I loved it. Latched straight onto it. Came into that and ping-ponged around a little bit, but ended up long-term working at the Intelligencer, so the daily paper record in Belleville. It turned out to be my longest stint in media, so that was a great experience for me. At that time in publishing was really exciting. So I worked for the for a number of years, I think 9 years, as a reporter photographer, and then transitioned into policing and Belleville Police Service. I was hired in 2009. And I'm speeding through my life here, but you know, it's you work, how it works in policing is they send you away for training and then you come back and then you're good to go, and you get paired up with coach officers, and then you're let out on your own, and you're the guy on the road in the cars pulling people over and responding to calls. Did that for a couple of years and then moved into the detective's office. So I worked there and then in major crime, and then from there went into forensics, and then was in forensics for a number of years. While I was in the forensic unit, I was promoted to sergeant. So how it works in our service is there's constables and detectives and sergeants, and then staff sergeants, and then inspectors. Coming out of ident, they call it, or forensics, I was promoted again to staff sergeant. So now I've been moved back just in March to operations. So that means basically everything forward facing in the police service. So anyone wearing a uniform, generally speaking, and their supervisors fall under what I have to manage. So, yeah,
That sounds
it's been a whirlwind, right?
I was gonna say a whirlwind, yeah.
Are we done? Is that good?
That's pretty much
Okay.
that's your story.
Thank you very much. All right.
It's such like when you start saying it out, you're like, oh my gosh, there's so much to talk about, right? Like,
Right.
Let's go back to photojournalism to start.
Tease it out. It's totally
right?
cool.
Let's go.
Yeah.
We're gonna go in like a chronological order.
You let me know.
Photojournalism. What was it like back then?
It was intense. I loved it. That 2-year program at Loyalist, they still run it, was incredible. And it was back in the day where they had a black and white and color processing lab for both film and for printing. So we're right at the cusp of transitioning to digital. They had a few digital cameras at that time. They hadn't moved into that. It was mostly based on film scanned into computers is how they would transmit images. It was intense, but it was really self-motivated, right? Is what I got out of it, is you could do whatever you wanted to do as long as you kind of put your foot forward and worked with it. So I grabbed into it and really enjoyed it. Did a lot of fun things. Came out of that program. The one thing that they really didn't touch on at that time, and I'm sure they cover now, is how to run your own business. So you have a lot of kids or students that were coming out of that had really good artistic skills and really good, could navigate through a newsroom per se, but not really set up to run their own business like a contractor. Yeah. So some guys were really good at that and went on to be really good, successful freelancers. For myself, I bounced around a little bit. Worked in a camera store for a while, and then I ended up just moving my way locally into media here, so in Belleville, Quinte area. So worked for the community press for a little bit, and then moved into the Intelligencer. So, which was, at the time, it was like amazing because it was, you know, a daily paper. It had Canadian press affiliations, so take your pictures, you send them to the Wire, and they could go anywhere, and they did, and it was awesome. And then at that time, you know, we're talking pre 9/11. It was a completely different relationship with places like the base, CFB Trenton, and traveling and stuff. So it was exciting. It was really fun. Yeah.
I feel like there was like this golden era of media.
Yeah,
I feel
for
like you were a part of it there.
Yeah,
And
I was a part of the tail end of it.
You
I
were the
think,
part of
right?
well, I was definitely on the tail end. I remember walking into because Chris Mallet was the editor.
Chris Millett, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And so I remember going in there
Yeah.
and oh man, I got a lovely story to tell about him. So I went in there and basically showed him my stuff, and I just got this Canon 10D. I was really excited about it, and I started taking photos. I'm like, I want to be a photojournalist.
Sure.
And I didn't want to go to school for it. I just wanted to learn. I was one of those people that just want to go out there and make it work.
Yeah.
And so I went out there and I took some photos of this one guy. I still have the photos.
Yeah.
The lollipop guy. What do you guys call him? Crossing guard.
Okay.
And he's got a stop sign up and it's raining like crazy.
Yeah.
I was like, this is a great shot. They're going to use this for sure. Went in there and I remember him like, I'm showing him the proofs. Right? And he's like, yeah, keep trying. Like, this is not
something
good.
you would say. Yeah.
And so I went away really deflated.
Right,
And then I was like, no, I'm going to prove I'm going to get an image in there. And I kept working, and ended up shifting into like portraiture, families, weddings, the usual route where if you're not doing photojournalism at that time, you kind of went that route, right?
Right. Yeah, it's true. Right.
Yeah.
Or you use that route to get into photojournalism.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's interesting because I remember one of the big things I remember learning. You know, you're young, you're impressionable, you get excited, you go into a career and you really want to impress. The journalism at that time was so brutally honest and just brutal in general. Yep. So when you would present your stuff, and these are your babies that you took pictures of and you thought you had an amazing shot, and someone just went, meh, yeah, I've seen it before. It's like, it just stabs you right through the heart, right?
Yeah.
So
it was,
I it's funny, I had I remember, so part of the journalism program, they still do it now, I believe, is they have an advisory board. So that's when did you go through that program?
I didn't know. I ended up doing completely
your own
solo.
thing.
Yep.
Right. So part of this program is there's an advisory board, and the big deal is that you have all these big wigs from all these big papers and news agencies. They would come down one day a year and look at all your stuff and give you advice. And some people would get offered internships here, there, wherever. So it was a big deal. So you get all prepped up for it. And I remember, what was his name? Peter Bragg from McLean's. So kind of an icon in the industry, you know, did McLean's. It was a prime minister's personal photographer, all this stuff. So he's a big wig, comes by and looks at my stuff, and he looks and he looks and he looks and he says, you really don't have a style. You're more of just kind of a generalist, eh? And then kept walking. And I remember thinking the same thing in the sense of, that really sucks. Because I was like, oh man, I'm going to be a documentary photographer. I'm going to be like the new Sebastian Salgado, and you're going to be traveling all over the world. And I left that being like, that was awful.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is that through my career, I just, at the Intel especially, I just developed a knack for being able to go out to whatever and to produce content that they could use. And I think that's what he was trying to say at the time, right? So, but
he was trying to say it kindly, which was kindly in the photojournalistic world.
Apparently, the way that, you know, a 20-year-old kid took it was like, you just crushed my dreams. I'm going to go work in my, you know, wherever, right? So,
it's so hard because like in this industry, there's like layers, right?
Oh,
and I feel like it's in all industries, but the visual industry especially gets a lot of this, which is, you got the initial layer where everything you do looks and feels really good.
Yeah.
And you're like, I can't believe I made this.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, exactly.
And that's the stage that's when you're going out and you're pushing your portfolio in front of people for that validation.
Right.
Only for them to turn around and be like, oh, what a great start.
Yeah, that's right. Wow. Yes. I remember when I was your age. Yeah.
Like, I remember when I found the 50 mil.
Yeah,
that's great.
exactly. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So
I love the fact that in that industry, there was layers that you could go through. And if you're willing to learn, because obviously you were, and you kept going and you built out and you started to show better and better work, right? There was a time where I photographed a rugby tournament for the officer, I think it was.
Yeah.
And Chris Millett was there, and I'm like, hey, what do you think of these? And he's like, these are amazing. He's like, oh, I don't know if you knew, but I was an editor back in the paper. I would have happily taken these.
And
I'm like, I don't know if you remember me, but you told me my stuff sucked back then.
Oh man, that's a great circle story.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And he's like sitting there. He's like, well, your stuff's really good now.
Oh, that's good.
So it's like it was nice to finally get that validation.
Right?
Yeah.
So
I remember that still to this day. It was like that was the moment where I had the choice, right? Which is commit, right, and prove him wrong,
right,
or go do something else.
Do something different. Yeah.
And so they're doing something different. Just didn't appeal to me. I've always wanted to do something visual. Like even though I've gone through different iterations, photo to video, done some CGI, more video, and now we've got like a blend of video and stills, which I'm really happy with. It's always been visual.
Yeah.
Right? I've never dabbled into like music that much. I love music.
Yep.
But I don't dabble in it.
Yeah.
You know, so for me, I've always been drawn back to that.
Yeah. I can relate to that for sure. Absolutely. Yeah.
So part of your job as a reporter is to tease out stories from people.
Sure.
Right?
Absolutely.
What are some tips that you could give to young creatives on how to draw the best story out of somebody?
It's the same principles I would say is, you should use in interviewing as a police officer is open-ended questions, right? Let them tell the story. Don't navigate it for them. You can always tell when I speak to reporters now, or people that are interested, those that are naturally curious. Yeah. The best reporters, I know, like some of the guys that are still working the intel, are just naturally curious and they want to know, right? And that just harness that and bring it out and bring it through the questions that you ask to draw that information out of people. Those are good reporters, right? When they offer up thoughtful, insightful questions to tease stuff out that are open-ended and they're not kind of directed down a narrow road. Yeah, right? That's what I would say.
Do you feel that is what helped this is the beautiful segue.
Oh, here we go.
Did you feel that helped you get into the police with that natural curiosity?
I would say yes. I think I always see, it's my life, right? So you draw parallels to different seasons of life. And when I think back on being a reporter, the beautiful thing about being a reporter back in that day, and it was a different world and a different climate, was that I could pick up the phone in the newsroom and call anyone in the world and ask them questions. And I love that about that job, is that you never got asked, why are you calling me? You say, I'm a reporter with the Intelligencer, and I got some questions about you about this, right? And people always, generally speaking, would answer. And it was a neat job in that sense. In the same kind of vein with policing, I always found that we get parachuted into people's lives, generally speaking, not at their best moment. But a lot of times you're also trying to find out their story, and you're trying to find out, avenues that you could help people. And you're also just trying to piece together what went on. And so I always drew parallels between those two things in the sense of being a reporter and reporting on a story or a person objectively was the same as a police officer going to a scene and speaking with someone, tell me what happened, right? Not leading them through questions and getting that information and then compiling a police report, right? It's really generally the same thing. It's just that, at the end of the day, the police officers, we have other things we do with that, but we report to the courts, whereas, the reporters will report to the public through their media, right?
Yeah. So I feel like you still do that, even though as a police officer, you're still reporting to the public in so many ways.
Absolutely,
right?
Absolutely.
Like, is transparency in today's world harder or easier with all the avenues of media we have?
Ooh, that's a loaded question. It's certainly hard. It's certainly easier. It's harder to manage. Like if you look at my police vest, as far as transparency with policing goes, right? Like I have my vehicle is tracked, my phone is tracked. I say tracked. They know where everything is. Yep. I have a body cam in our new cars now. We have front dash cams that record everything inside of a car, including the front and back seats. So that transparency is there. It sometimes gets hard to layer that into to allow the public to see into that, because a lot of times with policing, when you're talking about transparency, we also have to weigh the privacy of people, right? So whether it's an accused person or a witness or a victim, everyone has their level of privacy that they're entitled to, right? So that's a pretty convoluted subject, right? But transparency certainly from a technical standpoint is easier. Yeah. From an actual practical standpoint, there are some barriers to it, but I think it's a lot easier now than it was 20 years ago to see what a police officer did on the side of the road than not. And even when I was, from the time I've moved from being a police officer on the road to where I am now, the world has changed. Now you pull over a vehicle. I just had a motor vehicle collision yesterday, and there are people out with their phones everywhere, right? So
Which is crazy. Right?
It's just
everyone's become a reporter.
It's so interesting, right? And it is, and that's the thing. The whole citizen journalism movement, all that, it kind of wraps up into that too, right? So it's an interesting subject to kind of work through.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, because I know that, and like the thing for me with a lot of media is there's a lot of opportunity for specific opinions to be made and justified through short clips.
Oh, right? Absolutely.
And that's like with politicians, we've seen it. But now we're seeing it on a whole new level, on like a public level too, where like they'll take one out of context clip and use it against that person.
Yes.
Right. And it's like, and that's an interesting thing that I see happening more and more. Because like before, you know, there was no such thing as bad press. It was used to say, right?
Yeah.
The press would go out and they could slander or like bash something, but then it would just add to that person because people would be like, no, I believe it. And they would rally behind it, right? And we see that on a different scale now.
Right.
Which is insane because there's such a polarized view in the world now.
There is, and it's interesting too because it impacts policing obviously as well, right? Because you will see short clips of officers taking action and that are controversial, but then when you see an extended, it's like anything, and you see the extended context of it, it completely makes sense. So, but that's always just, I think that's always just going to be an issue or a battle, right? And whether it's a politician or a member of the media that they want to frame things certain ways, it's just the way the world is, right? So it's interesting how for me, how it has impacted media and journalism over the last 10 years or so. It's really, I don't know if it's been very much positive, but it seems to me that, like, I remember when I worked at the Intelligencer, and you would be covering a controversial story, and you would write something that could be construed as controversial, and you try and do it as objectively as possible. Well, people would say, "Oh, you're just doing that to sell papers." And well, my salary was never tied to the amount of circulation that we had, right? Like if we sold out of papers, I didn't get a bonus or anything. So it was one of those things that people always say to newspaper reporters, and I'm sure they'd say it to radio people too, that you just want to boost your audience. But, and then it's kind of changed over the years is from that. I don't know if this is going to be a linear conversation or not, but
they never are
it's
here.
Gone. It's gone from that where you're pushing out information you're trying to be objective and thoughtful, and you're doing it under deadline where you would have one deadline a day, generally speaking, to now with a 24-hour news cycle. It's gone from reporters trying to be careful and objective and trying to push things out to being first out of the gate with the information, no matter how good it is, right? So I think that there is maybe I'm talking in my strokes are too broad, but that it seems to me that just like someone sitting way back in the nosebleeds watching this all go on, it seems like to me that the quality of journalism has suffered on the fringes, whereas wants to be, it's a 24-hour news cycle, right? And everyone wants to be first out of the gate with whatever thing, salacious detail they can put out as quick as possible versus
it sells the papers.
Well, and that's the thing. It's
now
the
it
same
sells
thing.
The
Now it boosts your website numbers or whatever, right?
Yeah, because if your viewership's up,
exactly,
and you have ads on there, that's
kind of the parallel I draw, and I don't know if it makes sense or not, but it seems to me that like. It used to be that you could have a story, a scoop or whatever, and you could work on it for a couple days and no one would know, and then you would bring it out on a certain day, or even if that 24-hour window you have, 6 a.m. deadline, you could work on it till that point and get it out, and then all the other media partners would pick it up. But now it's 24/7. As soon as you're done, get it out.
I remember when I saw a journalist come out, a reporter come out with an iPad.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Something, I can't remember what it was years ago. And they had an iPad and they were taking the photos. And that's when I was like, man, how journalism's changed.
Yeah.
Right? It had to adapt. And I'm not sure it was a good thing that they had to adapt. Because like what they had before was they had like your layers, right? So we had the editor before that would sit there and say the photo was bad. They also sit there and be like, this story's bad. Or this, there's more to this. You need to go back and flush this and like flesh it out.
Absolutely.
Right? And now it's just like, here's some data.
Yeah.
Right. They're not giving you full buckets of data at the same time. They're just giving you some data. So it's like, I've seen like even local news, they'll do like a 2-sentence thing, like this happened, this happened, this happened, because they're just blasting that out to get it out quickly.
Yeah.
So they can get the information out quickly. But at
That's
what
right.
cost is that, right? Like where's the rest of it, right? It's never as simple as just a single one-liner.
That's right. And you talk about layers of insulation for, like, I remember as being a junior reporter, you'd come back, you'd write your copy, you'd give it to another reporter to read, and then it would go to the city editor, then go to the wire editor. Like there was all these layers of people that would not only check your grammatical errors, but also your content and fact check. And now it's, everything's been scaled back because of money, right? And now those layers of insulation are gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're really layers of security, I think, right?
Yeah.
So, but
yeah, it's true. And
yeah.
I think when you look at those layers of security, it's really hard now to make an informed decision based on that.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Right? So like you sit there and you're like, how do I build out the story but get it out on time versus I need more time to add to this. Right? 'Cause you could always go to your editor and say like, this story is really good, but it needs another 2 days.
Right. Yeah.
Just give me 2 days and I can give you the information, get the interview that we sorely need in this because this is so one-sided right now.
Yeah, that's right. It's true. It's true. And it's funny because, was it like Denzel Washington said, a famous quote where he said that if I don't read the news, I'm uninformed, but if I read the news, I'm misinformed.
Yes.
So you really have to parse out your details. And it's too bad that it's fallen back to the, it's a credibility thing, but it's also fallen to the audience to kind of put that together, right?
Yeah.
So, and just some people don't. They just want to read from a particular news source and take it as gospel. And sometimes it's not, sometimes it is.
When you shifted away from journalism, was that one of the causes to move away from it, or was it you just needed change?
Oh, I needed a change. Yeah, I think that had really nothing to do. I always looked at the Intelligencer. It was a local community newspaper, so you had to be objective. We didn't have, I think the only columnist we really had was a sports columnist, and then Chris Millette was a columnist. But as far as my transition from that to policing, when I was a journalist there, I covered cops and EMS and fire and courts. Really got a real interest in it, developed an interest in it, I should say. And a lot of the police officers I got to know, because back then you could go hang out with them and build those relationships. I thought to myself, I could do this. Like, this is a cool job. And at the Intel at that time, I was a reporter, and really the ceiling was a little bit low. And I thought, I tried doing this. So it took a little bit of time, but ended up transitioning to police. And it was, it was a great new challenge, right?
Yeah.
So of course, as soon as I transitioned to police, I sold all my photo gear. I said, I'm not going to do this. Oh, yeah.
Were you, you're a Nikon guy, right?
Oh, yeah. Don't hold it against me, but yeah.
No, I actually saw a fantastic, this is a little sidestep, but there was a fantastic thing that Brady sent to me the other day where it's like the generative fill from Photoshop. And so the guy's holding a Canon.
Yeah.
And he's like, he circles it around. It's a generative fill. And he's like, change camera to Nikon. So it goes waiting, and then changes it into a potato.
Well done.
I was like, well played.
All right. Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
One of my favorites, though.
Nice.
Yeah. So you're joining the police force.
Right.
What age are you joining at?
Ooh, I think it was 30s, like early 30s, so 31, 32. Yeah.
So you're kind of like resetting and restarting at 30.
For sure. 100%. Yeah.
Talk to me about that. What does that look like? You had kids?
Oh, yeah.
Married?
So it was for our, speaking personally, my two, I have 3 kids, but my youngest wasn't born. But yeah, my kids were, 6 and 8, actually younger than that, I would say. But it was it wasn't hard to make the decision when you look long term, but it was hard at the time to make the decision to go away to be trained, because you're away for 3 months with, Sarah, my wife, having to manage the house by herself with 2 little kids for that period of time. So that was a big commitment. It was difficult, but it was rewarding in the same sense as that it was exciting. It was a new chapter. I was young enough to do it, and just kind of grabbed onto it and ran with it, really. So I enjoyed it.
The number one thing I find about people who talk about when they make that transition or the risk point is like looking back, it was an easy choice.
Right.
But on those moments, it never is an easy choice.
Well, yeah, and we had some, prayerful moments too, where even my eyesight, like I wore glasses, and we decided the year before I applied that I would get laser eye or LASIK eye surgery. And so that was a big expense for a little family, because we've always been a single income family. And in the hopes that I would pass the pre-qualifications to become a police officer.
Because you have to have good vision for.
Yeah.
So what are the pre-qualifications?
At that time, at that time, there were you had to pass a particular physical, and then you had a written, I believe it was an essay. Then you had to do some kind of a math quiz, and then you had to do some kind of a physics thing. And if you passed that, then you went into eyesight, hearing, and then like an aptitude test, and then you get the certificate that allowed you to apply to police services. Before you're even
trained,
right? No, before you even hired, right?
Yeah, so it's kind of like the quality check prior to.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So they have something similar now through the Ontario Association of Chiefs of Police, that you have to get a certificate similar to that. But and then at that time, I couldn't pass the eye exam, so that's where we made the decision as a family. Okay, well, we're gonna go in. Let's go both feet, and got the surgery, and then I think it was within a year, I was in the process with Belleville and hired on. So, you know, like you said, looking back, it was an easy decision, but at the time, it was we wrestled with it for a little bit, right? So
like a pros and cons list.
Well, pros and cons list. We prayed about it, but we also you know, we had 2 little kids, right? Yeah. And the Intel was a good paying job at that time, right? It wasn't, you know, we weren't a millionaire, but we were, again, like a single income family too. So it was a big thing to consider. Now I was shooting weddings on the side too, so that helped, right? Yeah. But still, you know, it was interesting to jump to that, right? Make that kind of leap of faith. So
because going from a creative field into a more pragmatic field,
yes.
What is that like? And for people who are listening, who are just, they're in the creative field right now, but they're also drawn, maybe it's into being a lawyer or a doctor or something else that they're looking to go into, which is kind of shying away from creativity. Do you feel that the creativity helps you in your job?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And tell me some.
Well, I think that if you're a creative person, you're going to push that out, regardless of if you're sitting in a lawyer's office, or whether you're sitting in a police car, or sitting, you know, if you're a landscaper, it doesn't matter. That's just gonna, you know, you're gonna pursue that. I found in policing, it's just problem solving, right? And a creative approach, you know, visually has helped me, certainly, as I've moved around and done different things, because, you know, yes, you're that first responder, but as you move around the police service and you do different things and you get involved in different things, whether it's, you know, organizing the staff Christmas party or these other things, you find these little outlets to let out your creativity, right? And you blast it out, and there's opportunities everywhere, but that's what I kind of did. I yes, you know, you do policing, you do it within those confines or that box. Sometimes when you have a problem you can't solve as a police officer, you're allowed to be a little bit more creative in your approach to try and draw people in, or bring people around that'll help you solve that. But yeah, and outside of that box is where I would do my other stuff, right? So I was always trying to do something different. So yeah.
Did you know going into the police force that one of the things you wanted to get into was more a leadership role, or did that just evolve as you were part of the force?
That's a good question. I would say that it's probably evolved as I've been part of the force, right? When I joined policing, you know, if you want to talk very personally, I was very much looking forward not to having my name in the newspaper, and to just be a regular police officer with a number and respond to calls and do my thing. And but as you know, as time goes on, and I've got this different experience with patrol and then the detective's office and forensics, you see those opportunities. For me, what you talk about leadership and supervision and stuff like that. For me, that just translates into opportunities for mentorship and education and helping, right? And so that's where I was drawn into that leadership role. Is I knew that if I became a sergeant, I really chart the course of certain things. So you have more of a little bit more of a push pull to what you can accomplish, and then really the bottom line for me was that you could mentor and help people kind of become the best they can be wherever they are, right?
Yeah.
So that's what keeps pushing me along. So
Yeah, you've got like a very acute awareness of where people can be, right? And so I
Absolutely.
love that. I can see it when we're walking around. We did a project where we were focused on showcasing some of the Belleville Police Force and
yeah,
the jobs within.
yeah,
And I remember watching you go through it, and I could see you taking information, right? Just like stacking it away, like, okay, this person likes this. But you could see, like, even though you were just wandering around, there's still that, what I call like the leadership quality. So the people that
Sure.
see the better in other people
yeah.
and
I
want to
appreciate
draw
that.
it out of them.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Well, it's the 1,000-foot view too, right? When you're a supervisor, you kind of think on that not, I don't want to say higher level, but you just think on a different level of broader impact, and you start like all the guys on the road that I supervise now and patrol, and then the sergeants, you see all these moments of opportunity with them where you're like, here's a guy that's really good at this. Like, how do I exploit that? How do I draw that out of that person? So I really enjoy that part of my job now, is trying to identify those things with people, right? So get a kick out of it.
Yeah, and I feel like the leadership too is when you see an opportunity and you see, like, and it's so far away because like you've done this multiple times in your life in different phases, right?
Sure.
In different ways where you've seen opportunities and gone for them. And so being able to help people go along there too is a really cool thing. Well, I know, like,
absolutely.
For me as a photographer, and then my director of photography now, he said to me, he's like, hey, I want you to direct a commercial for me. And I'm like, I don't know how to direct. Like, I have no idea. He's like, it's easy. Just do what you do on the photo set, just without a camera in your hand.
Right.
And so now I was able to step back. I'm like, okay, what do I do? So I interact with the talent, make sure everything's running smoothly, and just did that.
Nice.
And that what you call like the higher level, or like the 1,000-foot, it's designed that way because you need to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And I find as a creative, I'm not very good at minutia. So I tend to look at like the broad things. And then Brady's really good at minutia, so he can actually dive down into that and be like, okay, this is what he actually wants.
Right.
So I feel like having the ability to see from a high level is being able to see where everything goes, not just a few things.
For sure. Absolutely. And he also, I just like the opportunity of being able to, like, if I can become a sergeant and a staff sergeant, anyone in the service can, right? With the right, the attitude and direction. I just, that to me that's why I always encourage a lot of guys is that, you know what, there's an opportunity here to be promoted or to get a different job. Go for it. I'll support you in it, right? Like, it's just, if I can do it, you can do it. It's not rocket science, clearly, right? So, because I'm not overly smart, but managed to figure it out this far. So,
like, I have the drive. That's all you need. Just get some drive.
That's exactly it, right?
Yeah.
Exactly it, right? Yeah. If you have the drive to do it, you can accomplish pretty much anything, right?
Yeah.
So
you're currently staff sergeant, is that correct?
Staff sergeant, yeah.
Yep. So where would you like to go in the future? How are you getting there?
Yeah. Right.
I'd love to hear that.
Well, I've only been in my role for less than a year now, right? Exactly. So it's I am really enjoying where I'm at right now, and I'm sure that in a couple of years I'll want to move on to something different. I find that it's interesting with policing. Certainly, as you kind of go up the rank, you have more influence and you have a lot more say around the table as to what happens. I'm really enjoying that because I feel as though I represent the people that are on patrol and those officers, and a lot of the things that they want to change or improve or use technology in the cars and all that stuff that we've talked about. I can bring that forward on behalf of them and say, hey, look, this is a really cool idea. This isn't my idea. This is them, right? Yeah. So I really enjoy that thought of being able to just draw that out of people, hopefully, in good context, and then bring it forward and make changes that, significantly impact not only the police service, but the community at large, right? Yeah. If we're a better police service and we have, whether it's more officers on the road or whether we have better technology at the hands of police officers to make their jobs so that they can more effectively complete their jobs and tasks, then that's a good thing. It's like you, it's whenever you leave a place, you want to leave it better. So where I'm at, I really feel comfortable with. I got my feet under me now, right? But sure, if you're talking about where I want to go,
I would say in the next 5 years.
In the next 5 years, I will take advantage of opportunity if it presents itself to certainly to grow in that leadership model because it's challenging, and I want to be surrounded, and I am. I can tell you, I'm surrounded by people that challenge me, and I don't want to be surrounded by people that are just kind of like, hey, yes, man, right? You know, so it's. I like being uncomfortable in my leadership role because I think it forces you to reflect, be humble, and grow.
Yeah,
So.
I always find too is when you're getting to that point where everything feels like it's going smoothly or easily. That's probably the time to move up.
Yeah, exactly.
Because like you've kind of completed everything there within reason. Like obviously you've never completed it, but you've kind of got to the point where you've got a good handle on it, and hopefully the people that you're leading along with you, that person behind you is ready for that task and ready to step up.
And that's funny you say that because that's exactly how I felt in forensics. Not that I was the end all be all of that, but in that unit, just for context, we moved from our old police station into our new building. And setting that up and getting all that equipment and all that personnel all arranged and all the policies and procedures and all that stuff was a daunting task. And then at the end of it, to be able to, I kind of felt like I completed it. I got very comfortable in that role and what I was doing. And then along came this opportunity. And sure enough, as soon as I got promoted, you got pulled out and put into a new role. And it was one of those moments where I was comfortable and got I chose to get pulled out and put into a place where I wasn't as comfortable, and I had to learn, and I'm still learning. I'm never going to stop, especially with the officers on the road. They're great teachers for me because they're the subject matter experts. But it's challenging. I really enjoy being challenged in that realm, and just made to feel uncomfortable in the sense of, I got to figure this out, right? So
it's back to like and it echoes back to taking the risk,
right.
It
does in a way, right? Yeah, absolutely.
So you sit there like, I don't know. You're currently at that position where you can't look backwards and go, this is this and this was that.
Yeah,
you're kind of in that moment where it's like everything's new.
Yes.
I'm driving in the fog.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
I'm just trying to get through this cloud.
Right.
And, it's like I can speed up as it gets lighter.
Right.
But right now I just need to understand
Just saying, you need to understand where the fog's coming from and how to do this. Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like that probably...
You just basically told me that I operate in a fog in my environment, right?
Exactly.
So,
you're fine. You'll be fine.
What could possibly go wrong?
Exactly. Like it's kind of an interesting concept, right? Because everybody goes through those stages. Right? And where it doesn't matter whether you're a photographer, a videographer, policeman, it doesn't matter because there's so many times in your life where you're just like, I have no idea where I'm going, but I'm in this direction.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Well, and you too, with transitioning from photo to video and to audio and like all of that, right? Like that to me, I'm still learning about that. Right. And that's a whole other thing that I love doing. Right.
Yes.
So, but yeah, and for me to move from where I was comfortable into where I am now, it's a lot of it is a humility to say, I have no idea how to do that task that you just did. Can you show me? Right. And what can I learn from it and how can I make it better? Right. So
I find as a director, the secret power I have in my pocket is finding people who are smarter than me.
Yes, absolutely.
And who are much more knowledgeable than me about things. Right. And so like what I do is I surround myself with those guys. So we have a gaffer who is absolutely insane and he can rig pretty much whatever. If you want him to rig something, he can make it happen with enough time and enough kind of gear, which is there's always more gear needed.
Right. Of course.
But Chris is like, he'll sit there and be like, yeah, we can do that. You can do that. I'm like, can you do it safely? He's like, well, of course, yeah, because his job on set is to make sure it's safe.
Right.
So he's always on the point, and so I know that I can trust him to do that. And I learned so much from watching him. Right. And it's just like you sit there and you're just like, man, I would just tape that thing today.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
He's got these poles everywhere.
Yeah.
So it's like surround yourself with good people.
That's exactly it, right? And I'm fortunate because my work environment. Belleville Police Service is a great place to work. There, and I'm talking about a lot of police officers and those people in uniform, but outside of that, they have an extraordinary cast of people that are civilian staff that are all supportive of everything that we do and as officers, and all of that big family, a mishmash of people. There are some extraordinary people there that are creative, they're driven, they're, and a lot of some of it is untapped market, right? That I look for and trying to draw out. But you're right in the sense of just surrounding yourself with those people that are those are the subject matter experts that I rely on, right? Absolutely.
Yeah, I remember going through there with you and kind of looking at the police department, having preconceived notions in my head what it looked like. Right?
Yeah,
So
yeah, everyone does, right?
Over there's the jail.
Yeah,
And over there's like the detectives.
Right.
And at the back, there's like, you know, the vehicle bay. And then you go down 5 stairs and there's forensics.
Yeah.
That was in my mind.
Yeah.
So to see, like, the facility you have there is fantastic.
Oh, absolutely.
Although I would probably get lost in a heartbeat in there.
Yeah.
Right. But the whole group that you had was very eclectic, I find. And I did not expect that. So I expected very kind of like, you know, everyone in blue suits walking around. Kind of thing,
right.
And so to see the different layers
saluting
of
and
people,
such.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like very almost militant.
Yeah.
But to see it in such a, almost, I hate to say it in a civilian way, and I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, you're not. Yeah.
But that was a very comforting thing.
Right.
Because often you get to the point when, you know, when you see stories about police and stuff like that, and it's just, it doesn't always feel like a comforting thing. Right?
For sure.
Everybody in there that I met, you could tell they went into it because they cared.
Absolutely.
Right.
And that's I think what sets, you know, I'm biased because I'm from Belleville, but I think that's what sets our service apart is that the caliber of people that we are bringing into the fold, whether it is a uniform officers or special constables or those auxiliary staff that volunteer or the broader range of civilian staff that we have, like civilian employees that we have, they're all in it for the right reasons. And they are all eclectic, right? They all bring these different skill sets to the job, and it's a neat environment to work in, right?
Yeah.
So
I just want to go back and film you guys more.
Oh yeah, like you should, right? You really should.
It's like I'm trying to find clients every time clients say, "Well, we need to do this." Have you thought about Belleville Police?
Yeah,
Like,
well, this is the thing, and you know, people like you said, like sometimes have a misconception about what police officers are. There, you take away all those layers of clothing and all that silly stuff, and you put on a regular pair of shorts and a t-shirt. You're just a guy, right, or a girl, and you're just kind of in your community to help. Right. And that's really the bottom line is, why do you want to become a police officer? Because I want to help people. Right. That's the number one answer. Right. So I'm really blessed to work with, you know, 150 employee or other coworkers that have that same kind of mantra. They just want to help our community make it a better place. So I've landed in a good spot for sure.
Well, thank you for that. Appreciate it.
No worries.
I think that's like the perfect way to cap this.
Oh yeah, sure. If you want, absolutely.
No, awesome.
No, I'm happy with it. Yeah,
Jeremy,
for sure.
Thank you for coming out. It's been a pleasure.
All right. Well, thanks for having me. This is really a different environment for me.
It's,
right?
it's a little bit different, right?
Yeah,
It's like, hey, come out and be in a podcast.
But it's good though, right? It's just a conversation, right?
Yeah, and that's why I just honestly just love the conversations, and it's like, let's just record them.
Yeah. Well, you must get some
Not
interesting
in a police
insight.
way.
Yeah. You know, you must get some pretty interesting answers though, right? Like,
Yes.
And you're a good interviewer, right? To draw stuff out. So
I'm just curious.
no, it's good. Yeah, there you go, right? One of those curious people. Hey.
Thank you.
Hey, no worries. Thank you. Back anytime.
Awesome.
All right.
And cut.